Remember your training. Stay alert.
I'm not alert. I'm scared.
We must all get ready now.
This is part 2 of my review of the Nutcracker and the Four Realms. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, I genuinely don't know what to say. Just go see it. It's in the description. It's not hard to find. It's just down there. It's in the description. All right. Where were we? Oh yeah. I remember now. Sugar Plum mentions the engine doesn't work because it needs a key, which is conveniently the one she needs to open the egg. So they mount an expedition into the Fourth Realm with a regiment of troops to get the key back from Mother Grinch. Clara also brings these two dinguses for some reason, and if we're lucky, hopefully they don't come back.
We're trained killers, we are.
Deadly.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer.
Cautiously, they enter the Fourth Realm armed with lanterns, thin as paper halberds, and some swords they'll never use. I like the way these soldiers are just looking around the forest like they're in the deep jungle of Vietnam or something. Like,
reminds me of Nam, it does. In the trees they are.
As the bell of the great horned rat tolls and they're consumed by the vermintide, Clara Starkiller meets whatever the fuck these clown things are and confronts the mother of Ginger face to face.
Who wants Ginger?
And you're Queen Marie's daughter, apparently.
Yes?
Now, what business brings you to the Fourth Realm? Don't you know it's dangerous here?
I've come to get what belongs to me. That key.
If this key belongs to anyone, it belongs to your mother.
No. She left it to me.
Why would she give it to you?
Oh, my mother, she passed away.
Queen Marie is dead.
As if you care.
Snatching the key, Clara makes an escape into the nearby woods, leaving all the soldiers she brought into the Fourth Realm, and on the way back finds a nice scenic spot to continue the plot as she finally opens the egg.
No. It's just a music box. But my mother told me everything you need is inside. There's nothing here. I thought if I found this key, then I would find answers. That everything would make sense. I'm just as lost as when I arrived here.
Upset there's nothing in the egg. Clara throws a fit because the egg didn't contain... I'm not really sure what she was expecting there would be in a small silver egg, but whatevs. Nut attempts to comfort her, but it turns out it's not so easy when your characters have no history whatsoever with one another.
I've never left my post, you know. I knew my place, and I was happy. But when you told me you were going into the Fourth Realm, I knew I'd go with you. And it wasn't because you're Marie's daughter, but because you have the same look of confidence and determination. You just led a regiment of men into the Fourth Realm and took back this key from Mother Ginger. You're not lost, Clara Starbaum. Your place is here.
I like how he knows so little about Clara. The best words of encouragement he has for her is, "Oh, you know, when you went into the spooky woods, you looked confident, I guess." Well, at least he's got the wooden aspect of the Nutcracker right anyway. As the sole survivors of the Fourth Realm massacre, they arrive back at the castle to give Sugar Plum the key. As they turn on the engine, Sugar Plum starts building an army of tin soldiers and reveals herself to be the bad guy all along. Now, if your brain hasn't completely drained from your ears like hot pink gack after watching this, you might be wondering, well, that twist seems a bit weird. Because you're right, it is weird. Cause it makes no sense! Outside of murdering parents, another trope Disney has a cruel ongoing affair with is its twist villains. Of course, there's nothing wrong with having a properly established, thematically appropriate twist villain, and there are even times a twist villain can help cleverly subvert the expectations of the audience. But this shit ain't clever, it's just stupid. There's nothing, not one thing, which implies outside of Sugar Plum's excitement around the engine that she has sour intentions brewing in that sugar swirl head of hers. It's implied she lashed out at the Four Realms because she's grieving Marie's death, but just a little later, Mother Ginger says this.
I stopped you once before, remember?
So she's not doing it because she's grieving. Or is she? Guess we'll never know. Now that Sugarplum is the captain now, she imprisons Clara and Nut in the castle's upper chamber along with the regents. As Clara lashes out at Nut for keeping her in the realms, she sits and contemplates the
egg, an oval or round object laid by a female bird, reptile, fish, or invertebrate, usually containing a developing embryo.
Realizing upon closer inspection there's more to it than she thought.
Everything you need is inside. It's me.
Claire is the dragon warrior. Having found inner peace, she pulls off an overly complicated escape plan where the green screen is clearly visible before making her escape with Nut to stop Sugarplum before she turns the entire realm back into toys and whatever. As the small Skaven shows them a way out of the courtyard, Clara robs Nut of his last attempt to have free will and sends him off to fight with Mother Ginger while she tries to destroy the engine. One of the most exciting parts of the ballet is the big battle between the rats and the toys. And it's clear this movie is trying to capture that same sort of excitement in their own battle. Only they've done it all wrong! We know that Clara Starburst is gonna be in the war because this story's got a dark side, even though the ballet has a big battle in it too. And if there's a big battle, that means several elements need to be present in order for the sequence to work. Like, who is fighting in the war? You know, what are the sides, factions and all that? Why are they fighting? Why have they, in the wise words of Kushana, chosen the bloody path? Who is fighting in the army? Is it giant burly goat people? A bunch of floppy-eared dinosaur clowns? Or a bunch of empty, soulless tin soldiers? Who is leading the armies and why are people following them? Because despite contrary belief, humans don't like to die. In fact, unless you're me having to watch this film 3 dozen times, most living creatures don't want to be killed. So if they've chosen to fight, there needs to be a reason for it, and a leader willing to defend or uphold that reason. That may sound like a lot, but much like a Big Mac, it's only as big as the marketing claims it is. When in actuality, implementing these concepts into a war is not all that difficult. In the original Nutcracker, Captain Big Nut is shown to be the leader of the toy army who's defending the household and the tree. The opposing army are the rats who want the tree and the toys, who are led by the giant rat who makes all the rules or whatever. We know the toy soldiers are fighting in one army, and we know a group of plushy Skaven are in the other army. So Big Nut and Ratatouille are leading their troops into battle as they both represent either side. Then you get to the good stuff where they beat the living crap out of one another. And looking to the east, they see some guy in Clorox bleached robes riding Zelda's horse with a bunch of smelly Nordic guys or something before they save the day and... Oh, wait, that may be a different movie. I'm gonna skip to some scenes we haven't covered yet, because at this point we're gonna need all the nonsense present in this movie if we're hoping to get through this particularly terrible aspect of the film. A little later, it's explained, vaguely, what happens if you create an army of soldiers.
You can't use tin soldiers. You have no idea how they behave.
I'm not sure what Nut means by we don't know how they'll act, because not but a little while later, Red Soldier gets zapped by the magic engine and gets turned into a toy soldier again. So you're telling me some toys are more equal than others? I thought this was more to capitalize on Alice in Wonderland and not Animal Farm. But because the film included rules so vague, YouTube's guidelines seem more clear by comparison. All the tin soldiers just act like battle droids from episode 1, and all get deactivated when the main person or big basketball in a hoop explodes because some 9-year-old liked to spin. And on the other side of Mother Ginger, you have a writhing mass of Mousies, Star Power, and some whatever these things are. What's worse is their tactics. Rather than outline what each of their armies could do, establish clear pros and cons, weaknesses and strengths, the filmmakers make like a 10-year-old with a bunch of action figures and smash them together at random because it's cool or something. Because a lot of the elements leading up to the battle are so poorly outlined, and the realm's not given time to have a proper connection with the audience, the entire battle comes off as horrendously predictable as a McFlurry machine failure. Now, I'm sorry, I'm just really hungry right now. It's not even the satisfying type of predictable where everything is coming together as it should. I mean, these creatures just run into the army of metal sword-wielding death machines, armed with nothing but their quirkiness. If the mice can shift and move through tight spaces, why didn't they make their way into the castle to help Clara destroy the engine? By the handful of rules they've established, that should be completely within the realm of possibility, but Oh well. These elements of world building work in tandem with the war aspect of the movie to create a complete conflict for our characters to participate in. As it is, the battle feels tagged on, like the writers were just like, you know what a dark, twisty fantasy needs? A big battle with creepy clowns and a twist villain, without any sort of regard for how these elements fit together. If they had at least made the world feel thematically cohesive and spent less time expositing the vague nonsense about the world's history, the film might have been at least more watchable, at least slightly more watchable than it is anyway. Oh yeah, where were we? Oh yeah, that's right. As a big battle ensues while Clara attempts to turn off the engine, I'm sure Clara's sticky bomb, being the big brain she is, will come up with a clever way of defeating Sugar Plum. Or she can just go behind the machine, which has controls which are clearly labeled, and have the engine pull a reverse card on Sugar Plum. Before Clara's plan goes into action though, Clara one last time tries to reason with her.
Don't do this. My mother loved you. You had a special place in her heart.
You of all people should understand, Clara. She left you alone too.
No. She left me everything I need. I'm not alone. Sugar Plum, we are not alone.
Oh, I see, it's all coming together now. So the whole theme of the story is accepting loss. You know, honestly, Clara's words really do capture the theme of the work. And when Sugar Plum takes these thematically appropriate words to heart, maybe it'll show how grief can cause some of us to lash out and...
You fool!
No, you thought wrong, dingus.
You're right. I have a big, beautiful army to protect me. No one will hurt me ever again. A true queen does what's best for herself.
So Sugar Plum was just evil the whole time. Doesn't really care about Marie. Yeah, I'm not shocked. But as Sugar Plum thinks she has the upper hand, Clara pulls her trap card and beats her. For reasons unknown to me, and as mentioned previously, the Tin Soldiers simply stop when Sugar Plum is defeated like a bunch of battle droids. When Mother Ginger Ale is saved, Nut is left uncracked, and the heroes victorious, Clara celebrates and leaves the Four Realms having finally established peace. As she says her final goodbyes to Nut, she returns to London. Oh, hey there, Morgan. Goodbye, Morgan. Having finally learned the true meaning of what it means to be the Dragon Warrior, Clara tries to apologize to her father.
Clara.
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. I lost the love of my life, and you lost your mother.
Wow, that was fast.
As promised, she dances with him, as the other siblings in the story make their final appearance while Morgan watches from a distance. Everyone dances, everyone is happy, yeah, the end. And that's the movie! Where do I even begin? One positive thing I can say about Nut in the Four Places is that the score of the film is okay. James Newton Howard does a good job of incorporating the original themes for each character alongside the traditional Nutcracker suite, and bonus points for having the themes play at character-specific moments. Doing this elevates certain moments, but sadly it alone can't save this Lusitania from sinking. Outside of the nonsensical world building, poorly handled war, and stiff acting peppered throughout the story, one of the larger negatives of this movie is the characters themselves. Clara Star Wars is the only character in the entire movie who goes through any sort of meaningful arc. And even then they still managed to screw that up. Like, I don't know what the takeaway should be from this movie. Foy says it's this.
You can be anything. You can do anything in this world as long as you believe in yourself, and always keep that imagination and creativity and magic in you.
But it's also about grief and coping with the loss of her mother, who we still know so little about. We're not even told how she died. The only thing we know is that our Overlord Mouse wanted her dead, and 5 feet under she goes without further explanation. Though because Clara's arc centers mostly on the conflict with the egg, which is handled about as delicately as How to Basic handles his eggs. The whole premise behind the egg is to believe in yourself, but Clara is never put into a place where she needs to doubt herself first. Kung Fu Panda handled this story much better, where Po is looked down upon by many people, but then rises to action and overcomes the greatest threats to the Valley of Peace. Not by being something he isn't, but by believing in who he is. Notice how DreamWorks didn't tag on some plot about grief or whatever, because in a story about being yourself and finding your own unique strength, that kind of conflict wouldn't make any sense. In hindsight, the whole film should have been about grief, considering it is a common theme found amongst all the characters. You remember that special tool from part 1? Yep, this is it. See? I deliver my promises. Unlike, some properties. The Starbucks family finally are, in their own way, are grieving the loss of Marie. As mentioned before, Portal Fantasy is unique in that it allows the real-world issues to mirror those of the fantasy world. Certain characters or elements represent specific conflicts, and underneath the fantastical lens are these conflicts challenged and solved. You could have had the whole cast of characters in the fantasy world mirror Clara's own family. This way you could connect the villain, the side characters, and maybe even Nut himself with the core conflicts and themes. I just think if the writers are going to dredge up characters no one has heard about from the original story, and make callbacks to minor details only the hardest of Nutcracker fans would appreciate, like geez, at least give them a place in the story or something. I've been rewatching the new DuckTales, which is freaking great and stuff, and it handles callbacks in such a positive way. I struggle to think of too many other properties that respect and expand upon the source material in the same sort of fashion. For example, in the older DuckTales, the Junior Woodchucks were just there to explain how the triplets have certain skills for specific episodes. In the new series, they made Huey an overzealous woodchuck, and not only tie the organization to his character, but make it at the center of conflicts he has throughout the series. Hell, the entire comic book style is a callback to the first iterations of DuckTales, which started off as comics Disney published in the 40s, 50s, and so on. That sort of stuff adds a layer of depth, stylistic individualism, thus overall contributing to the quality of the work itself. Outside of merely making reference to the source, these included siblings, references, and other stuff do nothing but act like big old member berries for the audience. At least anyone who cared enough to learn about the Nutcracker outside of the ballet anyway. Captain Philip Hoffman, the titular Nutcracker character, never truly makes a choice of his own, has any sort of chemistry with Clara, or represents anything in the main conflict. He's just another soldier, told to go someplace, stand somewhere, fight whatever, and so on like a good little nut. The other regions do nothing. Clara's siblings aren't even represented outside of the scenes in London. And Morgan Freeman himself appears, I shit you not, roughly 3 minutes and 36 seconds on screen. And in those few minutes he's on screen, he shows Clara being smart again, exposits more about the backstory we're never truly given a clear image of, tells Clara she's special, and for the kids to find their gifts. At one point he tells the owl to keep an eye on her, but that never comes into play, even when she's in mortal peril. In the ballet, Drosselmeyer is like the force of magic and chaos, which kickstarts a lot of the elements in the story, where here he's hardly even a character. This is why when he spouts a bunch of ominous stuff in the trailers like,
Clara, there are some magical ass realms that need saving, and you gotta be the one to do it. This ain't some trippy dream, it's grimdark fantasy.
It only solidifies the idea Disney brought him on board for the star power rather than telling a story. It's clear they didn't care too much about the world they created, as even the history behind it makes no sense. Here is a simple timeline of the Four Realms. Clara's mother finds the empty realms as a child, yet it's implied there were already people in the realms despite mentioning they were created by her. Not to mention she's shown to be a fully grown adult in the picture. Clara asks if Marie talked about her in the Four Realms, and everyone seems to know her name, meaning Marie went back, even after Clara was born. Yet, going back to when Marie talked about the Four Realms, she says,
He reminds me of a land I discovered when I was a little girl, full of sweets and flowers and the funniest people.
So is this a Narnia situation? Did she live in the Four Realms for several years and then she get popped out suddenly she's young again? Well, we're never really told. Then at some point, Marie leaves, presumably to start a family. Sugar Plum, upset by this, attempts to take over the realms. We're never really told what her scheme was before, who outside of Mother Ginger was a part of it, or what Sugar Plum's end goal was in all of this. On a side note, they mention anybody who goes into the Fourth Realms never returns. What is Mother Ginger doing with those people? Did she kill them? I guess we'll never know. Mother Ginger is banished to the Fourth Realm, where she rebels against the other realms. Clara shows up, and then the events of the movie transpires. You see how many gaps in the information there are? And, I mean, filling in these empty places in the backstory is not all that difficult either. It's as simple as, Clara's mom is still the queen. Only have the picture of her be a teenager, like Clara or something. Have Marie leave because she wants her creations to have a future of their own, considering she is immortal and can only live for so long. Sugar Plum doesn't want this because she loves Marie. Sugar Plum attempts to keep Marie in the realms while Mother Ginger, the mice, and many others try to stop her. Ginger manages to get Marie out. Sugar Plum assumes control of the kingdom, spreads propaganda about how Mother Ginger tried to take the kingdom and how she got rid of their queen. Sugar Plum then rules the Four Realms from the shadows, only she doesn't have the manpower to overcome Mother Ginger and her forces yet. There you go. That wasn't so hard. Like, jeez. The story is boring, the main conflicts are muddled into one sloppy mess, and the characters are as colorful and lively as a sheet of blank paper. I know this was sort of a longer review, but it's one I've wanted to make for a long while. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to leave it a like, or if you want to see more content of this nature, why not subscribe as well? You can recommend me stuff or stay informed on, I don't know, my Twitter. I put it at the end of all my videos. It's all in the description too and stuff. Oh, and thank you to my brother for lending his voice for a few of the little jokes throughout the review and stuff. Stay warm and enjoy the rest of the winter season and all that. I give Morgan Freeman and the 4 minutes of screen time a 4.5 out of 10.
You've really put on weight.